Go ahead and get started. All right, welcome everyone to Taco Tuesday. So excited you're here. A very near and dear to my heart friend, Arielle, will be speaking to us about hanging in there and reinvigorating ourselves. So there she is. I'm gonna spotlight her. But me and Arielle have been friends for a couple of years. She's one of my favorite people because she's always smiley and just a great attitude and just always willing to help out. So I'm going to turn the time over to you if you want to give a little bit about yourself, brag on your own self, and then get started.
Awesome. So like Shelly said, my name is Arielle. I have my background blurred and it's making it look like I've got, it's weird. And so I'm sorry if my hair keeps popping in and out of focus. It's just how I exist tonight, I guess. I'm a superstar director and I have been with Scentsy. I just celebrated 10 years in September and I love almost everything about it. But the things that I don't love are the things that we like self-inflict, right? The things that are that we're totally in charge of, but we don't realize that we're doing to ourselves until it's too late. And so I thought I might impart a little bit of the knowledge that I've learned over the last 10 years about rest versus recovery. And I'm going to change the view real quick. There we go. Okay. Because I want to see your guys' faces too. I don't just want to see my face because then I'm just going to hyperfixate on my hair and then it's going to be an issue tonight. So I want to talk about that rest versus recovery. This is the time of year that can be like so fun and magical and full of joy and wonder, but it can also be hectic and crazy and stress inducing simply by nature of the time of year. And we all have busy times in our lives, but it just all seems to compound around Q4, which we're heavily in right now. We're ending it out because of the holidays. So I would like to ask you, just maybe type it in the chat real quick. In your mind, what's the difference between rest and recovery? Because they might sound really similar, but there are some really key differences, at least for me personally, that I have discovered over the last 10 years. And it's like those little nuanced things, Rest for me would be taking a step back, Amy says. And then rest is not doing anything. Okay. We're gonna circle back to that. Remind me to come back to the comments if I missed that. Because that's a really interesting point. Anybody else have any ideas of the difference between rest versus recovery? Taking a nap versus taking care of yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to give you guys this visual because I love visuals. Okay, so imagine when you wake up and you feel totally rejuvenated, like you can conquer the world, like you are going to do all the amazing things in your life, right? You just have this feeling of awareness, awakeness, and just fully present, being fully present in your life. To me, that's what rest is. When I am rested, I feel like I can conquer the dang world. Does anybody else feel that way? Yeah, I see some nodding of hands. Awesome. Now imagine the reverse of that, waking up and immediately thinking about, oh my gosh, I have all these things to do today. I have an event to prep. I have to get my kids to school. Their lunches need to be packed. It's early release, so I have to make sure that I'm done with my errands so I can pick them up by X, Y, and Z. And, going off and listing all of these things. And that brings your heart rate up. And all of a sudden you are stressed before your day has even begun. And you're worrying about how you're going to get it all done, what you're going to do. And that is the feeling that I associate with being in either burnout or recovery mode. Like, oh, I don't know if I can get there. And just maybe taking a step back and doing nothing because it's so overwhelming to think about what has to be done or what you have just finished doing. Does that make sense? Has anybody ever experienced that ugly set of emotions and feelings and just going through that stress? Yeah, I see a lot of people nodding. That's awesome. Okay, so in the comments, we had some more people answer. Rest is something that is short between big times of busy life. Recovery is coming back in a better state. Recovery is when I have fully allowed myself a reset, and rest is doing nothing. Okay, so you guys might have different perspectives too. So just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt too, and maybe yours is reversed from me. But that rest to me is when I have given myself a breather before I've hit that burnout mode. Right? So I wrote some notes down. Let me read what I wrote because I felt really in the zone earlier. Do you go into rest mode when you are nearing your limit, or do you push yourself too far until it's too late and then require a recovery period? So to me, rest is acknowledging and recognizing when you're getting to that point of, oh my gosh, I need to take a minute, versus I can't take a minute. I don't have time. I've got to get through this. And then pushing yourself beyond what your body or your mind should be doing. And then having that feeling of, well, done here. So to me, that's the difference between rest and recovery. And I have seen myself, Shelly says she pushes herself too far until she's forced to rest. And see, I consider that the recovery phase, because you didn't allow yourself the rest along the way so that you could be your best. So you could feel that rejuvenated, I can conquer the world feeling when you push yourself too far into the burnout. And sometimes that leads to the feelings of, why am I even doing this? I want to quit. What is this worth? And I want to remind you guys, it is worth a lot. This business, this community, the things that you get out of it, if you give yourself rest along the way, will come back tenfold. But pushing yourself to those limits, I have been there where I just want to throw in the towel and say, I am done. What the heck am I doing to myself? Whether it's a season of committing to too many events, so overcommitting, or having these ideals of I'm going to do so much and then feeling like I let myself down. Those are all the things that we are in control of. And so I would like to encourage you to notice when you're starting to feel the, oh man, you're feeling like your heartbeat's starting to raise, you're feeling like maybe your face gets flushed and you're starting to think, oh my gosh, this is too much. That's your cue. If you can even take a step before then and say, you know what, I'm going to take 10 minutes. I'm going to decompress. And maybe to you, decompressing is literally doing nothing. Like some people said in the comments, maybe decompressing is taking a nap. Sometimes my brain just needs to shut down for 15 or 20 minutes. And it's like a recharge. You know, I'm going into battery save mode when I notice that I'm doing the same thing over and over, or I'm just like standing in my office, staring at the things that need to be done, but doing none of it. I call that my power save mode. Like my brain is doing nothing. My body is doing nothing. I need to take a minute. So maybe that involves taking a bubble bath, or going to get a coffee with a friend, or sitting out on your back porch and just enjoying the sound of nature. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, what's something that you do to rest? What's something that you do to give yourself a minute to circle back to, okay, we've got this. And I did want to circle back to that comment earlier. Rest is not doing anything. Maybe. Rest is maybe taking a nap or taking care of yourself. How does that look to you? Because it probably looks very different than what mine does. Maybe it's giving yourself 10 minutes of mindless scrolling. Maybe it's checking in on your friends. Crochet, color an adult coloring book, taking the dog on a walk. I love that. I have an app on my phone called Happy Color. So it's essentially color by numbers, but you're just like tapping the colors and they fill in and they make images. That's one that I love going to when I'm just thinking about everything and doing nothing. I let my brain just kind of make a pretty picture and then come back in. Reading a couple chapters in a new book, I love that. Although I will tell you, books are my downfall. I lean into that too much and then I do nothing even after I feel rested, because I get really sucked into books. And so if I'm going to have a new book, I try and focus on audiobooks that I can do multiple things and not feel like I've wasted the day. But sometimes it takes a day and not just like 20 minutes. Maybe sometimes you need to give yourself an entire day. And I would invite you to remove that judgment from your shoulders and remove the negative sayings of, I'm not doing anything, I'm lazy, you know, whatever the negative things that you're thinking about yourself are, I would encourage you to remove that judgment from yourself and understand that how you rest, how you take a step back and take a breather is going to look different from everybody. And there's no time limit on it. That being said, don't use it as an excuse to step away for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, without doing anything, because then that can set you behind in your business, and any progress that you have made, it could potentially kick you out of that lane where you're like in the carpool lane, you're smooth sailing, you've got your systems going, and maybe you're on cruise control. But if you stay on cruise control too long, what happens to your business? So allow yourself that space to rest and take a breather, but don't let it be an excuse to take like a vacation from your business. Does that make sense? Yeah, do you guys understand the difference? And I'm not saying don't take a vacation. I want to be very clear. Take as many vacations as you can. Enjoy your life. Yeah. In the comments, Cindy said, rest for me is spending time with my toddler and just enjoying being home. Also, coloring always helped my anxiety. Mine is scrolling on Facebook or TikTok, reading a book, but I need the entire day. You are just like me. You cannot put a good book in front of me and expect me to do anything else. I have no self-control. So, rest versus recovery. Where are you right now in your business? Because we are 10 days away from the shipping cutoff. Do you guys feel like you are pushing yourselves to burnout? Because even though we are 10 days away, I don't want to see you have to recover. So what can you do for yourself, even if it's just a couple hours, to give yourself that rest, to ensure that you not only work to the Christmas cutoff, but continue working your business beyond that? What can you do for yourself? Again, I'm going to just encourage you to remove that judgment. And if you're worried about what other people are thinking about how you're running your business, how you're living your life, something I'm still working on accepting is that other people's opinions are none of my business. And being okay with the fact that some people are going to judge you, and that's on them. What do you think about you? I see some people nodding. It's hard to let other people's opinions of you go. And it's hard to, speaking personally, it's hard to not compare yourselves and then try to live up to what you think other people want to see out of you, but then also live up to this stereotype of this perfect consultant that doesn't actually exist. And I think a lot of that, when I was in my, let's call it my burnout era, I don't know if any of you are Swifties, but when I was in my burnout era, when I was considering quitting my business, throwing all of the years of work I'd put away or put in away, it's because I was comparing myself to this fictitious consultant who doesn't even exist, who does everything right, who does everything perfectly. That consultant doesn't exist. That's a myth. Are you the best consultant that you can be for you, for your customers, for your team? Are you the best person that you can be for yourself, for your family, for your friends? It is far more important to show up as the best version of you than to show up as who you think somebody else thinks you should be. In the comments, Heather said, I'm not near where I should be, but I'm not stressing myself out about it because I'm getting a pivot plan ready for after cutoff in January. I love that. There's also comments of taking a vacation in 5 days, going on a cruise. I love that so much for you. Sleep in an hour or two, having a set schedule, burning out, but still taking time for you. Okay. I would encourage you to put that time as a priority so that you don't burn out. I say this as I am getting ready for an event tomorrow. It's the one event I do every year because I don't like events anymore. I used to do all the events that I could. And I think that was my burnout era. Just me personally, they're not my favorite, but I'm getting ready for an event and all I'm thinking about is, okay, how late am I going to stay up tonight? Okay, tomorrow I have my kids' concerts in the morning, and then I have a workshop training, and then I have a Zoom with my team, and then I have a Zoom with SSDs, and then it's early release, and then I have to get ready for the event. So I'm already making my list, but then I'm reminding myself, you know what? I'm going to show up, and the things are either going to sell or they're not, and it's going to be okay at the end of the day. I've put in a lot of good work, and that's got to be enough. So with 10 days to Christmas cutoff, how are you going to take time for you? How are you going to show up for yourself so that you can show up for others? And this could be a rhetorical question, or if you want to answer in the comments too, I would love to hear what you guys are going to do, but maybe some self-reflection. And truly work on giving yourself grace and removing that judgment. Because I know we are the hardest on ourselves. Set time with loved ones. I love that. I'm going to plan what I want to get done, but give myself grace if I don't get it all done. Yes. That's awesome. So good. If I could have told myself this 5 years ago, I think I would have avoided a lot of grief. And I don't want to say self-loathing. That feels a little bit harsh, but frustration with myself. So make a plan. Do your best to stick to the plan, but understand that life is going to happen, and make a plan B for when life happens. How are you going to shift gears and switch lanes? And how are you going to make sure you're okay with that? I think taking time for that rest is really pivotal. Do you guys have any questions for me?
This is so good, Arielle. I think this was a good reminder that it's more important than we think. I was in a burnout era and almost quit myself back in 2014. And it wasn't even Christmas time. It was like in the springtime. So it's always a good reminder, like long term, that if we're not taking care of ourselves, it can really send us down a path that we don't want to be on.
Mm-hmm. And to just understand that it's normal. It's not something that you're the only one going through or has gone through, but understanding that you can take control of what you do, what you think about it, and how you act or react. It's so important to remember that you are the driver. I don't know why we went to car analogies, but we were talking about cruise control, carpooling, shifting gears. It's a car kind of night, I guess. In the comments, we have, wow, sometimes you just need to hear from someone else. Thanks. You are so welcome. I'm a year in, but just recently moved to another state. How do you suggest I get myself out there with people and places I don't know? Ooh, that's a good one. I'd love to, I want to keep reading the comments, but if you have suggestions, if you have moved recently, I want to hear your input in the comments too, to meet new people. Thank you. We all needed this, especially right now. Great reminders, especially working during the hectic holiday season. What I struggle with is if I have done enough with my business in a day. And really, nobody can say that but you. But what are your expectations of yourself? Are they realistic? Or are they that fictitious mythological consultant that you're trying to live up to? And if you know that you could have done more, just do more the next day. Or here's something I love to remind people. If you only have 40% to give one day and you give 100% of that 40%, you've given it all you could. So meeting new people, mostly meeting people online, local neighborhood groups, book clubs. Oh, that's what Shelly was just saying. Perfect. Chamber of Commerce, church groups. Honestly, just finding people to connect with locally online. And because because I'm super skeptical of people always meet in a public location if you're going to be in real life. But finding people that you can connect with locally who have common interest. Like, I love baking sourdough bread, and I share that love with people. And I've met a lot of friends here because of that. I love reading books, as we have established. I am part of a couple book clubs. One I'm only active in. One I am active in. The other ones I kind of like, I don't know, peep in on what they're doing occasionally. But I love watching what people are reading. So what do you like to do in your spare time? What is the thing that you do when you rest? Are there people that you can connect with locally who also do those things? My neighborhood has probably 50 groups for different things. And so whether it's a buy nothing group or just a local, hey, here's what's going on, what's happening in the neighborhood group, see if there's something like that locally to you as well. And oftentimes those groups let businesses post like one day a month, sometimes one day a week. So find out when that is and start getting your name out there that way. But just post. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I love walking my dog. Is there anybody who, has time between X, Y, and Z? I'd love a walking buddy. So those are just some fun ways to get to meet new people. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Putting yourself out there, it takes a lot of courage for some people. Some people it just comes naturally to, and that's okay. But I am really out of my comfort zone when I have to make it a point to meet new people. So it takes a lot of courage. So lean into that when you can. Be brave. And it's okay if you take risks. Any other questions?
I was just about to ask that. Any others? I know we moved about 2.5 years ago, and many many of y'all have already heard my story of moving. But a lot of it I planned for, right? Like living in a small house while we did renovations, and I planned for all of that, but I didn't plan on not having friends, like not having a community. And so finding a place that you can go and not only find new customers, but I found one of my very best friends by getting out there, and where I used to be sad and lonely and burnt out, but also sad and lonely, on a just because I didn't know anybody in town. You never realize what you have until you go to Walmart and you don't know anybody. You can't even be afraid of who you'll run into because you know nobody. So yeah, get out there and see who you can meet, and you just never know. You just never know.
I feel like the Cheers theme song really comes to mind here. Where everybody knows your name. That's I don't know. Maybe you're an introvert and you don't want people to know your name. That's okay. Run your business online. That's totally fine. But some people love that community. So it's just finding it. It's just putting yourself out there. Local coffee shops. Somebody said they're moving to Germany in a month. I am assuming military. I started my business when we lived in South Korea, and we lived on base, and you had to jump through all these hoops living overseas. But the community there was so tight knit. It was amazing. Sensi aside, some of my favorite people came from that assignment because I was forced to live in an apartment building with people, and we didn't have a choice over it. So maybe it's just going to take putting yourself in uncomfortable positions that is going to help. They're going to help you grow. Just pushing yourself right outside of your comfort zone into your growth zone. Imagine it as like those circles. Your comfort zone, your growth zone. Just push yourself a little bit.
And sometimes that can help with our rest, right? Like if we don't have people to be like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of the house, you know. But when you have those people, it can help like take some stress away.
Yes. In the comments, Cameron said, my first at-home party, I felt like my heart was outside my chest, but then I just talked about the product and how I used it, and I felt so much better and ready for my second one. I love that. Oh, and then Cindy said, maybe some moms at the park she takes her toddler too. Just have your business card and testers. Oh my gosh. Can I just tell you some funny stories? I'm going to. Thank you so much for asking. I would take samples to like my kids' swim class, and I would very clearly like, I'm getting these samples out and I'm gonna label them, you know, thinking, oh, people are gonna talk to me, they're gonna want what I've got. 0 times did that happen. However, I have also been places where I've met people, they're like, oh, Sensi, do you have a card? And I'm like, ooh, I have nothing. So there's like a fine line there. But I I just remember thinking, I'm gonna meet so many people. People are gonna want these samples. It's gonna be so great. Nothing. I yielded nothing from those efforts. But I did it. Tried something new.
Oh, I'm sure we all have stories of like, this is going to be amazing. And then, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any last minute questions for Miss Arielle? Again, I think this was a fantastic reminder for us. Stop, give ourselves some grace, and rest before we're forced into recovery. All right, sweet. Thank you so much, Arielle. I appreciate you so much. And if you end up having any other questions or suggestions, feel free to comment under this video once it's posted and let us know how you feel. And a reminder, we'll have Work It Wednesday tomorrow night, so we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.